I'm going to take the HOVERAir and do some full testing of all the different modes. I've had it for about, I don't know, 2 weeks. And got a pretty good idea what it's capable of. It's a really a great tool for solo riding, for the purpose of just going out for a ride, doing long solo rides, even multi-day rides. You know, these guys doing the divide, running these long multi-day bike packing trips that they're doing all by themselves. It's just a nice, easy alternative. The dang thing is really light, easy to charge. They have a power bank. I mean, I can see this being a very useful tool for a lot of those things. What I get nervous about is a bunch of these being deployed on a group ride, and just having a bunch of these little helicopters flying around, following people around. I mean, it only goes like 15 miles an hour, so a faster ride, it's never going to keep up. It's got some decent obstacle avoidance, but if you ride through something like this where I'm in the trail, it's going to run into stuff because it can't see vines and small branches, and that's where I've run into problems. Is just, you know, narrow trail that has a lot of obstacles that are hard to see, and that's not unexpected. But if it runs into something big, you know, it stops and just lands itself. So it's got a lot of simple features that are pretty helpful. Armadillo. So I'm going to run it through some of the things it does. It has vertical mode now and horizontal, so like Instagram reels and things like that. It puts up a really nice video. So I'm gonna run it through the modes. First mode will be just basic hover, just takes off and just sits there. Second will be follow, where it actually follows behind, and you can set it to a couple of different heights, low or high, and then distance, or further away or closer, 15 or 30 feet. After that is bird's eye, which just takes off, goes straight over your head, does not follow. Then there's the zoom out, where it flies away and flies back to your location. Again, not following. And then dolly track, which is really my favorite because it starts in front, and then as I get closer it'll swing around and start following, which is really an interesting perspective. I really like dolly track because it'll, as you ride towards it, it swings around, gives you lateral shots, and then it starts to follow. And follow until you stop. And that's probably some of the coolest. That's probably some of the coolest video so far. So I'm gonna run through all these functions. I'm turning it on. Hold it for 3 seconds to turn on.
Current mode, zoom out.
So I've had it on zoom out, and I want to change it to just hover. This is the first setting. So I'm gonna hit this button here on top, right above the power button.
Custom, hover.
So it's on hover. So I'm gonna hit the button, see what it does.
Continue, hover.
Now it's just gonna stay there. Not really following, it just stays right where I am. It does pivot. All right, next one. So this is zoom out. Hit the button.
30 feet. Zoom out.
All right, that's real easy, and it does give you two separate videos, one of it going out and one of it coming back in. Okay, set to follow. I have it set to follow high, I think about 15 feet. So we're going to go ahead and let it launch and have it follow me. It'll stay behind in this mode as we go. All right, this is a fun one too, this bird's eye. Just goes straight up and over. And I've it set to 16 feet, which is maximum. All right, this next one's fun. It's orbit, and it just, does what it says. It just spins around you, and you can do it low, high. I have it on max height, max distance. Will not follow you. It just spins around you, and will try to find you. I've messed with it a little bit, and it'll pivot, but it really wants to stay in place. So let's go ahead and do that.
20 feet. Orbit.
So I have it set to 20 feet and high. So we'll see how far it goes. It's just going to spin around. Really cool. And it's just part of its programming. It's a nice feature. It's interesting. Not great for riding bikes, but gives you a cool perspective of wherever you're riding. If you want to stop and get a sort of a 360 view of where you are, if you're someplace really pretty, memorable. All right, did its orbit, and it's coming back home. This is probably my favorite, the dolly track. It'll take off in front of me and then sort of chase after it, and it'll pivot and start to follow. Really cool mode. So I've got it vertical now.
Continue. Dolly track.
Uh-oh, it's in the bushes. Lost it around that tree. So this is what I mean by the narrow stuff. It's just too narrow. Now I gotta find it. Somebody's gonna have to check me for ticks. Where'd you go, buddy? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it was just too narrow. So definitely stay away from tight trail. This isn't even tight single track. This is pretty wide single track here, but it was just too much for it. So I'm gonna take it out to a more open area so you get a better idea what it'll do. It might follow through here. I'm gonna try that, see what it does. So I'm gonna try something here on the more narrow stuff. I'm gonna change the range on the drone to low and close. See how it does in single track. 'Cause this is pretty narrow. And I wonder if it stays closer to me, that it might actually be able to follow. Still have a little bit of hurricane debris here, but looks like it's mostly cleaned up. I'm gonna try it and see what it does. Well, it did okay, but it just got too narrow and twisty, and it came up against a tree, backed up and backed into another tree and hit the ground. Oh boy, I'm gonna need to buy another one of these. Poor little guy, he's trying so hard.